All right there. Hello. How are you doing on this fine day? How are you doing? I'm in Gunnersbury Park again. Sun's out. I can hear planes going overhead. Heathrow Airport is quite close to this place. A bit windy, but generally quite a nice day. I'm having a good one. Sat under this tree to have some nice deep breaths. I've meditated before this video. Life is good. What am I talking about? Today I'm talking about me a little bit. Don't always like doing this, but I feel it's useful because essentially with this channel I am helping you find inner peace. I'm helping you be completely content with your life. I'm helping you find yourself, your true self with all this. But who's it coming from? Like who am I? Like who am I to tell you and give you tips on your life? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, my sort of awakening process, if you wish to call it that. And I'm going to try and keep this video as short as possible, although I'm making no promises, guys. So I had a really nice upbringing. It was beautiful, full of love, full of care, compassion. I never wanted for anything. A few speed bumps in the family, but who has the perfect upbringing? Nobody, right? But generally it was really nice. It was fantastic. I had a really nice childhood. Very fond memories. When I think back to my childhood, it's nothing but positive memories that come to the surface first, which is really nice. Yeah, and this continued until the age of 14, when probably, almost definitely actually, the most definitive occurrence in my life to date happened. My mother passed away. She was diagnosed one day, and then 6 weeks later she was gone, and after 4 weeks she didn't actually recognise who I was, which was kind of shattering for a boy of like 14 years old to go through. It was really difficult, obviously. And when this happened, it was a really strange reaction, looking back in hindsight especially. It was a really bizarre way I reacted to it. I felt numb. I felt super numb. I felt nothing. I mean, tears would occasionally boil to the surface, but I didn't feel it within. I felt the tears were almost like some sort of mechanical reaction to what was going on, but it wasn't felt within. I was plunged deep into a state of emotional repression, and it threw up a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with, but essentially I just felt nothing. I felt empty. My dad obviously struggled quite a lot with this, as you would expect. My brother also. It threw our family into complete disarray. Brought us together in many different ways, but also everyone was trying to deal with this loss in their own way. So that led to my years afterwards of adolescence, my teenage years being full of anger. I was a very angry, deep down, a very angry individual. I lent on alcohol a lot, like a super amount. I mean, especially for my age at that time. I mean, I know everyone experiments with alcohol, getting pissed up in parks, etc. But seriously, it was getting to a ridiculous degree. It was quite an intense phase of my life in terms of sedation with alcohol from such a young age. I never did drugs because for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't compelled to do them. Everyone around me was, but I never felt the compulsion. I just drank loads, and I found mixed martial arts. I trained in mixed martial arts for a real good number of years until recently. I've stopped, like about 2 years ago in my life, I recently stopped doing that because it was a way of me channeling my anger that I didn't really know was there. Helicopter. Making me lose my train of thought. Why, Ayada? So yeah, I found this. I was a very aggressive, angry individual and caused a lot of trouble, caused a lot of suffering around me. And I had no self-confidence whatsoever. I had no confidence in who I was. I had no confidence talking to women specifically, and I wound up a lot of my self-worth in one, how I looked, and two, how effective I was at pulling. I know it's quite cringeworthy, but that's exactly how I felt at the time. Until I found meditation, and I didn't really know what the deal was. I meditated a few times, didn't fully understand what the crack was, but I knew that there was something about it that kind of like clicked with me. It made sense. Although I didn't exactly enjoy it, there was something that compelled me to keep practicing it. And I didn't really practice it in a sort of committed, accelerated way until only recently. I'm talking like the past sort of few years. And it got to that point, and then about sort of a year and a half ago, I went through quite a tough breakup. For the reason being was my girlfriend at the time split up with me, which was in hindsight perfectly reasonable. But what this did was, my reaction to that breakup was really dark, really deep. I had some super negative feelings about that. Like, I had brief suicidal thoughts. No one knows this, and it's kind of scaring me shitless to actually admit this on YouTube and stuff. But this is exactly how I felt. I felt like just empty again, emotional repression. But what this actually did was, this forced me to grieve for my mother, because before that all my relationships had been with quite motherly figures, quite motherly women, and I never realized this until after the breakup, and then it forced me to look at that. It forced me to confront my emotions. It forced me to grieve for the death of my mother properly. So not only did I make a concentrated effort to grieve for the loss of what was a beautiful relationship, but also grieve for the loss of my mother, which since the age of 14 I've repressed the feelings of. And in this confronting of emotion, I found Eastern philosophy. Specifically, the idea that struck me as like my awakening moment was reading some Zen Buddhist philosophy, and their idea that the present is the only thing that will ever exist, and the only thing that ever has existed is the moment that exists right now. And this resonated with me by quite a lot, because I was living in the past. Since the age of 14, since my mother passed away, I was living in the past. I had so much past, so much mind in the past, that I wasn't fully living. I wasn't fully aware of myself and my effect on my surroundings. And after reading that, I had an epiphany moment that, yeah, shit. The present moment is all that exists in right now. And yeah, I feel dodgy for the loss of my relationship and my mother, but they aren't happening now. And then I thought to myself, what is it that's creating the suffering? It's thoughts. It's thoughts that keep the past alive. This is what I thought, interestingly enough. And it's the thoughts that were keeping the past alive, and it was the thoughts that were creating my suffering. And that was a huge awakening. And in the absence of thought during my meditation practice afterwards, that was every single day, and has been more or less up to this day, I achieve and continue to achieve states of no mind, no body, where thoughts are not there. And what remains is pure bliss, pure contentment, pure just joy. Why joy? Just because. Why not? When thoughts don't create suffering, when thoughts don't keep past occurrences alive, when thoughts aren't making their judgments of the reality that we're in, then what remains is just contentment, inner peace, happiness, joy, real joy. And since then, it's more than the past 2 years, my awakening has been massively accelerated to a huge degree. And meditation showed me just exactly what effect I was having on everyone. And from that, I knew what effect I'd like to have. I've been there. I've been suicidal. I've been depressed. I've been socially anxious, which is something I've only recently started to tackle properly. I've been angry. I've been deep in thoughts of past and future. I've been stressed. I've been pissed off. I've been jealous. I've been every emotion. I have been thrown around by the current of thoughts, emotions, concepts, labels. I've been thrown around by that current, and I'm at a state where I ultimately realise that's all bullshit. Every ounce of it. What isn't bullshit is your true self. And right now I'm on a personal journey of sharing all of this with you. Because I've been there, I've suffered. Because of illusion. And I just want everyone to just break free from that illusion, because I know what's on the other side. Real contentment. Just a general okay. That everything's okay. Everything is okay. It really is. If you can break free from your own mind, like I did, to a large degree, not entirely, but yeah, then you can be happy. If a guy who was super angry, who was fighting all the time and just getting pissed all the time and being just an aggressive person under the surface, an emotionally repressed individual can just come through that and recognize that all these thoughts and all this shit is all bullshit, then so can you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my life story as well. There are many other little details which I'm sure I'm going to allude to in future videos, but that's the general gist of it. Ultimately, I get it. I've been there. I'm here now. I'm happy. I'm content. Let me show you how to be happy and content. Keep watching these videos. Keep subscribing. Keep clicking like. And I promise to be authentic and genuine with you and show you exactly how you can achieve the state, the contentment, the inner peace, the knowing of who you are. Take care of yourself. I wish you peace. I wish you presence. I wish you happiness and contentment. Follow me on this journey. Don't want to sound too corny, but it is. It's a journey for all of us. Come along with me, for God's sake. Click subscribe. Click subscribe, you bastard. Oh, wow. Thank you.